A nursing home can cost over $100,000 a year, and paying for it can take your house, your savings, and everything else that you spent your entire life building. Now, a lot of families assume that Medicare is going to cover a nursing home, or that the trust that they already have will protect them. But Medicare pays for almost none of the cost of the nursing home, and a regular trust will not stop a nursing home from taking you to your house. Now, I've been an estate planning attorney for more than 3 decades now, and in all of that time, I've seen this one thing drain more families' life savings than just about anything else I've seen. So in this video, I'm going to explain the exact legal ways that you can protect your house and your savings if you or someone you love is going to need a nursing home. So let's get into it. I call this the trust that protects your assets. So almost nobody pays for a nursing home the way that they think they will. Medicare is only going to cover a short recovery, usually up to 100 days after a hospital visit, and then it stops. And after that, you're paying for it yourself. And most family savings don't last more than a year or two. So before Medicaid pays $1, you have to spend almost everything you own until you're left with just a couple of $1,000s in the bank. And that limit is a little different in every state, so check yours, okay? Now, you might have heard your house is safe because it doesn't count. And while you're alive, that's true. Medicaid won't make you sell your house to qualify for benefits, and that's what they call an exempt asset. But that protection ends the day that you pass away. And when you die, the state adds up every single dollar that Medicaid spent on your care, and it takes it back out of what you leave behind. And that's called estate recovery. It's federal law, so it happens in every state. And since the house is usually the biggest thing that a family owns, that's what gets sold to pay the state back. Now, your kids inherit whatever is left, if anything is left. And a lot of people watching this, they already have a trust, and they assume that it's going to protect them from nursing home costs. But it does not. The kind almost everyone sets up is called a revocable living trust, and revocable just means that you can change it or cancel it whenever you want to. But that's exactly why it does not protect you, because if you can pull everything back out whenever you want to, Medicaid still counts all of it. Counts all of it as yours. So even though your house and savings are inside that trust, you still have to spend almost all of it before Medicaid is going to pay anything. Now, one kind of trust does protect you, even from a nursing home. And with this kind of a trust, you move your house and your savings, if you can, into a trust. And you can't pull them back out. And because you've given up that control of those assets, Medicaid no longer counts them as yours. The formal name for that trust is called an irrevocable trust, and the kind built for this is often called a Medicaid Asset Protection Trust. And giving up that control sounds scary at first, but it's not as extreme as you might think, because you still get to live in your home for the rest of your life, and you still collect any income that it earns, like rent or interest. The only thing that you give up is the ability to take the money back out yourself. And that's the whole point, because that's what keeps a nursing home from ever taking it. I have created these kind of trusts for many, many, many people, and they work. The one condition is that you have to set this up at least 5 years before you need the care. And when you apply for Medicaid, they look back at everything that you gave away or moved in the last 5 years, and that's called the look-back period. So if you moved your house into the trust inside that 5-year window, Medicaid acts like you still own it, and it will not cover your care for a set period as a penalty. But once those 5 years pass, everything in the trust is fully protected. And that's exactly why the worst thing you can do is wait. And real quick, before I get into the married couple rules, if you'd rather have me walk you through how to protect everything you own, I run a free live workshop that's helped hundreds and hundreds of families protect their savings from nursing home costs. And you can register by clicking the first link in the description right below. Anyway, let's keep going. If you're married, protect your spouse first. Let's talk about that. Now, everything I just covered assumes that you're on your own. But if you're married, the rules work completely different, and they're a lot more forgiving. When one spouse goes into a nursing home and applies for Medicaid benefits, the government does not expect the husband or the wife that is still living at home to go broke. The spouse who stays home does not have to spend down everything the way that a single person would, and gets to keep a good part of what you both owned. The spouse in the nursing home is the one who has to qualify. And the spouse at home, who Medicaid calls the community spouse, that's the one that all these protections are for. The spouse at home gets to keep the house and a car, no matter what. The home you live in does not have to be sold or spent down while your husband or your wife is still living there, and one vehicle is protected. So the spouse at home is not left without a way to get around. The spouse at home also gets to keep a big share of the savings, up to about half of your combined savings, though there's a limit on the total. And these limits change every year and vary by state, so check yours. But in a lot of states, that protected amount runs somewhere around $150,000. Now, the income rules protect the spouse at home, too. If most of the household income was in the name of the spouse who's now in care, then the spouse at home is allowed to keep enough of it to live on. And one of the most useful rules is that anything you move between the two of you is never counted against you. And remember that 5-year look back where giving assets away can get you penalized? Well, moving assets between spouses is the exception to that rule. So putting things in your spouse's name does not count as giving them away. That's a big part of how couples legally protect more of what they own. And a lot of couples never even know that it is allowed. All right, so your spouse isn't the only person you can give your assets to without a penalty. Normally, giving things away right before you need the care is a big mistake because of the same 5-year look back. So it seems like once care is close, you can't move anything to anyone. But there's a specific list of people that you are allowed to give your assets to with no penalty at all, even inside that 5-year window. The first person is your spouse, which we just covered. The second is a child who is blind or has a disability. You can transfer assets to a child of any age who's blind or permanently disabled without any penalty whatsoever. The reason for that is the law is there to protect a child who cannot fully support themselves. So helping them is not treated as giving your money away. The one thing to be careful of is that giving money straight to a disabled child can cost them their own government benefits. So this is usually done through a special needs trust that is set up for them. Now, the third person that you should give your assets to is a child under 21. A younger child can receive your assets with no penalty for the same reason as a disabled child. Now, the fourth child is a child who took care of you, and this one can actually save your house. If one of your kids moved in and took care of you for at least 2 years, and that care is the reason that you were able to stay out of a nursing home, then you can give them the house with absolutely no penalty. This is called the caregiver child exemption, and it exists because that child kept you out of a nursing home, which saved the state a lot of money. So the house goes straight to the child who took care of you and does not get spent down or taken. And the last and final person that you can give your assets to is a brother or sister who already owns part of your home. So if you have a sibling who owns a share of your house and has lived there for at least a year, then you can transfer the home to them with no penalty. And these last few are more specific. So this is exactly the kind of thing to go over with someone who does this in your state because the details matter hugely. Now, everything is so far works best when you have time to plan ahead. But don't worry, if you or someone you love needs care soon, like in the next few months, you're not totally out of luck. The 5-year trust I talked about won't help you now, but there are still ways to save a good part of what you own, possibly depending on your state. These are called crisis planning strategies, and they're for people who waited or who just got a diagnosis that they did not see coming. The first thing you can do is to turn money Medicaid counts into things it doesn't. Medicaid makes you spend your savings down, but it does not make you waste that money. You just can't be holding it as cash. So you can put that money toward paying off your mortgage, fixing up the house, buying a reliable car, or prepaying your funeral, all things Medicaid does not count against you. And that way, you keep that money for yourself and your family. You can also turn your savings into monthly income that Medicaid will let you keep. How this works is you give a company a large amount of money up front. They pay you back a fixed amount every month, and that's called an annuity. And when it is set up the right way, Medicaid counts those payments as income instead of savings, which will protect a good part of what would otherwise be spent down. Now, the one problem is the rules are strict and it has to be done exactly right. So this is not something to try on your own. And the exceptions from earlier still work even at the last minute. The transfers to a spouse, a disabled child, or a caregiver child that I covered don't have a waiting period, so you can still use them when care is close. There's also a strategy where you give away part of what you own and use the rest to cover the penalty period, and it can let a family keep a good part of what they'd otherwise lose. Now, the most important thing with any of these is to move fast and get the right help. You need an elder care lawyer in your area. Every one of these depends on your state's exact rules, and doing it wrong can cost you the very savings that you are trying to protect. Get an elder care lawyer in your area. So, if you or someone you love is about to go into a nursing home, the one thing you cannot afford to do is nothing. Because even at the last minute, the right steps can save you quite a bit of money. Now, that said, if you want to make sure your house and all the money you've saved is actually protected from nursing home costs and set up the right way, click the first link in the description to register for my free live workshop. I'll walk you through some of this process so you can put your full plan in place in 30 to 60 days without paying $5,000, and know that your family gets to keep what you worked your whole life for instead of watching it go to a nursing home. And if you want to understand the difference between the two kinds of trusts I mentioned today and which one is right for you, then check out this video next, right over here.